Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to 3 Ecosystems Investor Day 2025. We thank you, each one of you, for joining us today. Okay, here we see Mr. Peter Wagner. Let me now introduce him. Mr. Peter Wagner is the founder and managing director of 3 EV Industries and the original visionary behind 3 Ecosystems. With over 25 years of experience across the US, China, and India, Mr. Peter has been a pioneer in EV innovation, battery tech, and circular energy models. He laid the foundation for 3 Eco's unique hub-and-spoke model, combining product engineering with full-stack operations. Mr. Peter's legacy continues to shape the mission of building India's most resilient and scalable EV ecosystem. Welcome, Mr. Peter.
Thank you, Florence. As always, probably what motivates me the most in life is living up to Florence's expectations. Thank you very much for those kind introductions. Now, in logistics, on time is late. I'm very happy to say that in this morning session, 3 EV Industries was spot on time. In fact, we finished everything up early. We want to keep that track record clean with 3 Ecosystems as well. Thank you all for attending the inaugural Investor Day for 3 Ecosystems, and thank you also for those joining online. Those of you who know me are aware that I can speak about this company all day. And this is based on my belief that 3 Eco is a truly innovative business, bringing EV and information technologies to the large and fast-growing local transportation and logistics industry in India. We see ourselves as disruptors in a highly fragmented market, meeting the demand for more sophisticated, enterprise-grade services with improved scalability, reliability, and uniformity. As with any logistics company, the core challenge for us is that of resource planning, utilization, and optimization. Efficiency and productivity are interrelated. Efficiency gains translate into productivity gains, and productivity gains drive higher utilization for even stronger market position. That is why 3 Eco operates as a system of physical, human, and information resources focused on increasing efficiency and productivity through effective command and control processes. I've already said a lot, but the good news is that I'm limited today to these introductory comments, and you'll be hearing from many of our senior managers, all dedicated to our mission to bring technology and scale to local logistics in India. I want to also thank in advance some of our valued customers who are going to be participating in our roundtable discussion in a later session this afternoon. It is their trust and support that drives our business forward to our shared benefit. What I hope to show in this presentation is that 3 Eco has done the foundational work to build a disruptive, scalable, and profitable business. We have positive unit economics today based on a target fleet size that is conservative and achievable within the next 12 to 18 months. But that is just the next step in addressing the huge market opportunity we see for enterprise-grade local logistics in India. There are many more exciting milestones to look forward to in the years to come. Three Eco was originated by 3 EV Industries, the electric vehicle manufacturer that I helped to found in 2019. Although the initial impetus for starting 3 Eco as a separate company was the difference in taxation for an EV manufacturer versus a service company, there are many more important strategic differences separating the two businesses. 3 Eco's commitment to an all-EV fleet is only one part, and maybe the starting point, in building a corporate-scale local logistics company in India. The EV aspect of the business represents an efficiency-gaining platform, granted with environmental and societal benefits, but it was never the entire focus of the business opportunity. While it was from the perspective of an EV manufacturer that we came to understand the bottlenecks and inefficiencies present in local transportation, the solution set was far greater than simply the transition to EVs. The use of electric vehicles alone did not address many of the core challenges in local logistics. In fact, most of the problems are information-based. Therefore, 3ECO was conceived of as an information technology company, developing an advanced, proprietary, and purpose-built IT system for the operation of a captive, localized, yet scalable network of cargo and passenger EVs, all dedicated to premium local transportation and logistics services. I have to take a drink of water after that sentence. Another key element of our business model that reflects our deep understanding of EVs is the goal of operating density before scale. EVs, when used properly, produce efficiency and productivity gains versus ICE, but it's not a plug-and-play solution. The main challenges in the local logistics market in India relate to the highly fragmented and localized vendor bases. Individual owner-operators or small fleet investors using contract workers remain the norm today. Meanwhile, demand for local delivery and logistics services continues to grow from the steady pace of urbanization and rising incomes, with e-commerce companies and other large enterprises being the primary drivers. This places enormous strain on the small-scale operators who have limited ability to use information and EV technology. These operators often focus on commodity services with below GST levels of revenue, making it hard for them to properly serve the growing demand from larger enterprises calling for premium services. Therefore, the structure of the local logistics market poses serious hurdles to the rapid and profitable adoption of EVs. This is because for EVs to be profitable, they need to have high utilization, which the smaller local transportation providers are not designed for. Unlocking the cost advantage of EVs requires higher utilization because the cash flow profile of an EV platform versus that of an ICE platform. A diesel light commercial vehicle with a 10 years economic life may have roughly 30 to 40% of that cost up front, with the balance in fuel and maintenance costs. Meanwhile, an EV will have 60% or more of the total 10 years cost up front, reflecting the vehicle plus the battery. It doesn't matter if the battery is purchased with the vehicle or by a battery leasing company. The ecosystem, the market, must bear that upfront cost. The benefit of the EV is in the much lower operating costs over the life of the vehicle, electricity and maintenance, basically. So high utilization of the EV allows for the more rapid amortization of the higher upfront costs with much lower operating costs versus an ICE vehicle. This requires planning and a solid customer base, demanding premium, consistent services. It also demands high system integrity with very reliable vehicles and minimum downtime. All of these requirements point to a sophisticated and scalable command and control architecture, which in turn mandates density before scale in order to drive the all-important metric of utilization. This is how 3ECO departs sharply from the disintermediated platforms or gig-based business models. We partner with both models, but we operate a different one. Our model is the full-stack vertical integration of physical, human, and information resources. It took the courage of our convictions to commit to this full-stack hub-and-spoke model, which represents the core building block of the 3ECO business. We refer to these hubs as fleet operating stations, or FOS. They naturally include, I think I'm blocking this, but parking and charging infrastructure. Each FOS, oh, I can see it here also. Each FOS is geofenced through our IT platform to cover a discrete local neighborhood while serving multiple customers in that area. Once we have a physical footprint, we want to capture as many customers and services that we can within that location every day. This is our definition of operating density. To succeed in this effort, we need to minimize downtime. That requires dedicated staff and resources for maintenance. We also need supervisors on the ground to support our delivery drivers, whom we call service professionals, or SPROs. We regularly handle multiple customer services simultaneously each day from each of our FOS hubs. And this requires active management and coordination on the ground. Also note that our drivers don't just drive the vehicles. They meet face-to-face with the end customers each day. This mandates training and professionalism. Our supervisors at the FOS level ensure that quality experience. Finally, we focus on internalizing pain points for our customers, which include value-added services such as sorting, fulfillment, other QC functions, and even dark stores. Therefore, physical infrastructure such as micro warehouses are a common feature of our FOS. Having made the commitment to a full stack infrastructure model, we must capture high and consistent revenue. As I mentioned earlier, we like to serve multiple customers simultaneously from each of our FOS. This multi-layered revenue approach is needed for the higher utilization and revenue capture inherent to our business model. Operating our daily vehicle and staffing plans to meet the needs of many customers, often operating in multiple market verticals, from grocery to machineries to FMCGs and healthcare, is again an information challenge. The heart of our proprietary IT platform is called ePro, which stands for Efficiency and Productivity Resource Optimization. It is a cloud-based dashboard that synchronizes the various daily streams and coordinates data streams and coordinates the digital tools used by all of our staff. Oh, sorry about that. But ePro is not simply an ERP system. It is operated and supported by our data analytics team, which performs routine analysis focused on pattern recognition within our commercial operations. Our CTO, Mr. Madhavan, and his team will dig into the details of our IT platform in a later session. But I bring it up here with regard to our customers because it is precisely our data-driven approach that enables us to create exclusive win-win engagements in the market. We have a detailed benchmarking process that identifies sources of efficiency and productivity gains through resource and process optimization. We like to share these benefits with our customers in exchange for long-term, clearly defined contracts. Our contracts typically include guaranteed minimum values so that we have the visibility and confidence of a recurring revenue stream. But we also like to capture upside with variable revenue based on predetermined customer metrics. We only win when our customers win. Going even further, we like to identify areas where we can add value, from greater transparency and accountability to the internalization of pain points with shared services or inboarding of processes and even physical infrastructure like warehouses. Our highest value customer engagements today include stack merge, which eliminates the need for customers to operate a separate distribution center and with the associated costs and staffing issues. We also operate dark stores within our FOS and will begin wholesale distribution for certain FMCGs later this year. In our roundtable discussion later this afternoon, you will hear directly from some of our most valued customers about how we collaborate to solve critical and nagging bottlenecks in their last mile operations. These customers are among the largest enterprises and most respected brands in India and around the world. But in the last mile, resource efficiency and management oversight of local staff can create headaches. Where our enterprise customers are experts in their market verticals, we try to be experts in our local markets across multiple categories. By specializing only at the local level with a captive, full-stack infrastructure, staff, and information technology, 3ECO can unlock the efficiencies and ensure uniform processes to provide high service quality and reliability. Our business model, based on discrete FOS hubs, gives us a very clear unit economics pathway to profitability as we scale and reach density targets. The base building block, represented by CM1 costs, is comprised of the vehicle, driver, and other direct unit costs like battery charging and routine maintenance. As of April of this year, all 5 of our territories, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, Coimbatore, and Mumbai, all exceeded the pro forma CM1 break-even level of roughly 36,000 rupees. As the footnote indicates, the break-even levels on this slide are projected targets based on a fleet density of 150 vehicles per FOS and 5 FOS per city. We refer to our city territories as fleet operating networks, or FONs. CM2 break-even costs include the direct FOS hub costs for things such as rent, utilities, FOS staffing, and security. All of our FONs currently exceed the pro forma CM2 break-even level based on target scale and density. Operating margin break-even costs add in the FON costs, the city costs, primarily staffing at the city territory level. All FONs except for Mumbai exceeded this pro forma target in April of 2025, and Mumbai only missed by less than 100 rupees per unit, meaning per vehicle. EBIT break-even levels at target density add corporate costs, including executive finance, data analytics, and IT costs. Again, 4 out of our 5 FONs exceeded this target pro forma level in April of 2025. I want to elaborate a little bit on these pro forma break-even levels. The target of 150 vehicles per FOS and 5 FOS per FON, I know this is a lot of numbers, 5 FONs in the entire system, equates to 3,750 vehicles producing revenue. We currently have 1,400 vehicles in our total fleet, of which roughly 1,100 produce revenue on a daily basis, and that number is increasing. This means our current scale is roughly 37% of our near-term target level to reach break-even. Since we're not planning to add any new FONs or city territories in the coming year, the increase in our fleet size will directly increase our operating density and drive us towards our break-even levels. Mr. Karan, our president, and one of our co-founders at 3ECO, will be providing the scaling up plan for this fiscal year, in which we expect to exit 2026 with a total fleet size of 3,600 vehicles, or maybe even slightly more. This will take us very close to the scale and density levels needed to reach these pro forma break-even targets. What I hope to have illustrated with this slide is that 3ECO has a revenue model that works. In fact, we are ahead of plan in terms of unit revenues, averaging over 45,000 rupees per unit in April of 2025 across our entire system. The multi-layered customer approach is supporting steady, recurring revenues, which continue to grow at the unit level each month. This is a validation of our full-stack hub-and-spoke architecture and IT platform, which now registers between 75% and 85% utilization on average on a monthly basis. This is below our long-term target of 90%, and we plan to approach this level or even exceed it soon, as more and more of our vehicles are set to run at 1.5 shifts per day versus the 1-shift average that we have right now. We have demonstrated strong unit revenue trends, and continue to see upside there. And we now need to execute on our plan to grow our fleet and achieve our density targets. The pathway to break even and profitability beyond is to keep doing what we're already doing, but at a larger scale. We have built a solid infrastructure and IT platform to support a much larger operation. Now we need to invest in more vehicles. We're very proud to be able to close our Series A fundraising with the lead investment of $8 million coming from OCA EV. Our total raise in this round will be between 18 and 20 million, and we're targeting the close before the end of June of this year. The funding environment has been challenging over the last 18 months, especially for pre-profit growth companies like 3ECO. I wish to thank all of our shareholders, some of whom are in the audience today or attending online. Their support and belief in our business, as well as in the future value to be created, has been critical in getting us to where we are. The Series A will fund our rapid growth plan this year, in which we target near break-even results at the corporate level within the next 12 to 18 months. This requires us to scale our fleet across the 5 existing FONs, or cities, that are already in our system. We've always been a capital-efficient company, having raised less than $5 million from equity investors before we began the Series A. We continue to match our expenses to our revenues very carefully. With funding in place and a proven commercial plan, we're now confident in our path to break even and beyond. A fleet of 3,600 vehicles would produce a monthly revenue run rate in excess of $1.6 million, or roughly $20 million on an annualized basis. The scaling we plan for this year is ambitious, but it is based on the duplication of what we've already done. We do not need unit revenue upside to achieve our targets. We already have great customers, and we see plenty of opportunity to deepen the scope of our engagement with them, as well as to work with new ones. What we are planning for is solid execution on the ground to add more vehicles and drivers across our existing footprint in the 5 cities we cover today. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our next presentation, in which Karan, our president, will provide more detail on our past operating performance and our plan for this fiscal year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Peter. It was truly a privilege to hear from you. And now, moving to our next speaker of the day, meet Mr. Karan Kadaba, a bold first-generation entrepreneur with a decade of experience in clean mobility and renewable energy. As co-founder and director of 3 Ecosystems, he's helped build a frugal yet scalable EV ecosystem across 5 Indian cities. Mr. Karan brings sharp execution, investor trust, and relentless focus on building India's most reliable electric fleet platform.
Thank you, Florence. Again, very humbling. And thank you so much for everyone for being here. Good afternoon. I'm Karan Kadaba. And it's actually a moment of pride to be here today in front of our team, our shareholders, and all partners and supporters. Peter's presentation laid out a great foundation for what 3ECO has built to this date, and the theme I'm deriving from his presentation, and he spoke about the words density before scale. That's precisely the theme of my presentation. What you will see 3ECO did over the last 12 months was we focused on fleet consolidation and targeting density before scale. what is density before scale? If you look at FY24, we had 27 FOS, fleet operating stations, across 5 cities. Thank you. We then consolidated this to 15 in the coming fiscal year, FY25, the next fiscal year. What this did was it increased our revenue across fleet operating stations by 46%. So you're seeing a massive increase in the same footprint of operations. What you'll also notice is that the growth is not coming from different set of customers. It is the same customer mix that has, thank you, Florence, same customer mix which has boosted this. This is a clear sign that unit economics in our business are proven, and at scale, this is an extremely profitable business. Looking at the scale plan, Peter also mentioned FY26 is a year of growth. We're growing from a fleet size of 1,300 vehicles to 3,664. That's a large number, and that is going to be represented across 5 cities and 3 additional cities, part of our cluster of those 5. Suman's going to be touching about the customer demand and how we've deepened our relationship with our key customers. But what you will see here, even from the growth from FY24 to 25, we delivered a 46% year-over-year increase in the logistics revenue. That's our core revenue mix. But this year in FY26, we are adding passenger mobility also to our revenue mix. In addition to that, one revenue stream which will further deepen and grow is ad revenues. Though the base is small, we did grow that 100% last year. When you pan below, looking at the numbers from our customers, our core customers here, and some of them will be in Suman's Roundtable conference. You're looking at Porter, where we grew more than 3-fold in total revenue. Again, 3-fold increase in Flipkart, and a 2x increase with Bisleri. What's important is we've increased those type of services we deliver from them. The trust and reliability that a platform like 3eco brings allows us to now offer value-added services, and as Peter mentioned, fulfillment as well, taking us into the next growth for 3eco. The Series A round at 3eco is, started in November of 23, December of 23, when we signed the term sheet with OCA EV LLC. Yes, it has been an extremely tough environment, but mind you, this is the largest Series A raised by a last mile, a local logistics company in India. Upon closure, this is going to be a 20 million raise, 10.8 million of which we've already raised, 7.2 committed, and a further green shoe of 2 million, showing the kind of interest we've generated with investors within this room and watching online. At closure, this is going to be a 65 million post-money valuation, setting the mark for the next raise coming up in 12 to 18 months, a very strong Series B in the tune of 50 to 70 million US dollars. The key to density before scale is demonstrating profitability at a unit level. That is something we demonstrated in FY25. Profitability at the unit level, and importantly at the FOS level, as Peter mentioned. FOS level is key because what it shows is when we scale from here, the business has a flywheel to just increase the ROCE, or as investors what we look at, return on capital. And that's going to be proven in the coming 12 to 18 months, where we're going to show that as a city or a fleet operating network, we're going to show profitability. And starting in Q2 with the cities of Chennai and Coimbatore, which are leading this race to profitability within our own company, they're going to hit that metric first, followed suit by Hyderabad, Mumbai, and Bangalore in that order. One key metric in logistics and local logistics is utilization. At 3eco, we're all about efficiency, productivity, and utilization. We drew up our utilization levels from FY24, which were at sub 70% to above 80% in FY25. The target for this year is to cross 90%, touching 94% of utilization. This, mind you, is industry leading, where the benchmark, as quoted by one of our largest customers in India, local logistics stands at between 35 to 40%. This will also drive profitability. We are targeting almost a threefold increase in gross revenue, reaching the 100 crore mark this year, and achieving fleet-wide operating network profitability. The key to that is going to be 150 vehicles per FOS, or fleet operating station. The sessions which are coming up are going to talk about how scalability is possible, because of the deep and focused tech product and platform we've created. The cluster approach is also very important for our scale. We are not going to 20 cities. We are not going pan-India. We are growing around our regions. So if you look at Tamil Nadu, which is going to be our first profit centers, we are adding Salem, Madurai, Trichy around the cities of Chennai and Coimbatore. Panning into the west, we are going to be adding Ahmedabad, Pune, Surat, and then Vijayawada next to Hyderabad. Before I end, I would like to say that we've had only one focus at 3ECO, and that focus has been to achieve productivity and efficiency. And none of that is possible without the team which is outside this room today, who are working 24/7, 365 days, delivering those parcels and delivering the value needed to all our stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Karan.
Well, I'm true to my plan. We're 25 minutes ahead of schedule. So India is the largest democracy in the world. By a show of hands, we can either push on with our IT discussion, or we can take a break and reset the schedule at 3. Who wants to keep going? It looks like this is the winning party. Who wants to take a break? Sir, we will wait for you if you want to stretch your legs. Okay, we're going to keep going.
Thank you, Mr. Peter. Now we introduce Mr. Madhavan, CTO of 3 Ecosystems and a creative technologist. He has a passion for building intuitive digital ecosystems. An alumnus of IIT Madras, Mr. Madhavan brings deep experience in design-led product development and scalable tech architecture. He has led across functional teams to deliver seamless digital platforms across mobility, logistics, and consumer tech. At 3 Ecosystems, he is shaping the technology backbone that powers India's most dynamic electric vehicle local logistics network.
Hello? Yes, okay. So I said earlier I wasn't going to steal Madhavan's thunder, and here I am. So apologies. Madhavan and our entire IT team is brilliant, but public speaking is not one of his comfort zones. So he asked me to come and join on the stage, and then of course I asked Suman, our Chief Revenue Officer, to join as well. So we're going to make this a little bit more interactive and still try to drive home the points that we are an IT-based company, that we are an information-based company, and go through some of the use cases towards the end of the presentation as well.
I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you all as part of 3ECO, particularly part of tech team.
Okay. Our core challenges, as I addressed partly in my opening comments, introductory comments, is how do we introduce technology information technology, EV technology, to local logistics, which due to its fragmentation is very technology starved today. And how do we do this in a way that responds to the demands of our customers that are clamoring for premium, enterprise grade, scaled up local logistics services? Our focus is on efficiency, productivity, and scale as a business. None of these things are possible without a robust, bottoms-up, proprietary IT platform that is purpose-built to meet all of the challenges and provide information-based solutions in our business. We haven't introduced Siva yet.
Yeah, I'm Sivakumar, with over 20 years of experience in data analytics and banking and financial services products. And currently now I am with partnering with Madhavan into digitalizing the local logistics processes.
Siva is our Senior Vice President of Data Analytics. He leads the data team at 3 Ecosystems. He's only joined us in less than a month. But his learning curve, his impact, his contributions to our operations is climbing like this. And the purpose of this slide is to introduce the concept of continuous improvement, which is tying our information-based resources to a continuous improvement algorithm of data collection, then benchmarking with optimization features, then driving those learnings, driving those fine-tuning elements into refined SOPs in operations management, which then drives back the virtuous cycle into validation through data collection once more. Next slide.
As a tech person, when I start the engagement, I was thinking that IT system is going to be supporting the business. But Peter is the person who helped me to realize that IT system is the core. That is actually helping the business, right? So that realization, shifting that paradigm of thinking is very new to me. But thanks for doing that, Peter, for us.
Thank you. Madhavan and I have known each other now for going on 5 years. And from day one, we were talking about this continuous improvement algorithm that was only made possible through a very sophisticated and robust IT system. But it also had to be one that was purpose-built. It had to be duty-specific, industry-specific, company-specific. And that was a difference of approach to what Madhavan, who is the founder of his own company, Fabono Labs, which is a computer program developing company, staff of over 200 people, right? But when he joined hands with us at 3 Ecosystems, he had to learn a different approach, all driving towards this virtuous cycle of continuous improvement. We don't build and then ask the customer if it works, because we are our own customer within the IT department.
I would like to add something here, Madhavan and Peter, is that we believe in this philosophy of spearfishing over throwing a casting a net and collecting data which might not be relevant to us or which might be a noise. So we are not like, we are not making some platforms where you have to collect all data and probably sell to a marketeer. We know exactly the data which are relevant and resonant with us. We have a lot of focus on the data quality, because without data quality, which Madhavan and Shiva are going to talk about, nothing of it makes sense.
That's exactly right. We talk about that in terms of data integrity. A big theme in IT is big data. Throwing, as Suman rightly said, a big fishing net. And then you pull it out of the sea and see what's in there. But then you have to go through the sifting process. You throw back the crabs. You throw back, the ugly fish that nobody is interested in. and maybe at the end of the day you have something that you can take home to your family. We don't do it that way. We're spearfishing. We know exactly what data streams we care about, and we target our IT architecture specifically to those data streams. And we focus not only through our digital tools, but through all of our processes, including a fully staffed data analytics team on data integrity. What we do not want to do is introduce noise to our optimization algorithm, because then the whole thing gets corrupted. And we'll be talking about that on the next slide. So this is another way of describing that more conceptual continuous improvement algorithm that is IT-based to our specific type of business. But you can see it's the same pattern of revolving, cycling information and optimization processes. And as of today, based on our digital tools, our information platform called ePro, all of the SOPs that our staff and our IT department is focused on, we're cycling on a daily calendar, on a 24-hour cycle time. As we start on some next slides to introduce machine learning processes, even in the future, artificial intelligence processes, our ability to cycle faster will be there, even as we grow to a larger scale, even as we add complexity in our business with different types of customer engagements and different types of revenue sources. When you start to look at that potential, the need for a very robust IT system becomes clear.
There's a lot of rigor also in here, and I would like you all to take a moment to absorb this, because as an IT company or a product, I have been in 20 years, I have been in the tech field itself, selling softwares and solutions at geographical regions like North America and Europe. But when you have a product-led company, you make changes to the features of the product and it's out there in the market. There is no continuous feedback which comes in. With us, that feedback comes from 1,200, 1,300 S-Pros on a day-to-day basis, on an hourly basis. And Madhavan and team are able to take the value of that feedback. We have Vidya also on the other side of the room. And you guys will be party to how we have absorbed those feedback and given it back to the product.
As a tech person, always worried about how our application is performing, what is the performance level, right? But when engaged with 3Eco, that's where we started going to the end user. When I asked for it, whether I can go to the end user, maybe we can talk to our driver, can I improve the software based on their expectation? The Peter and Suman or Karan, their answer is, who stopped you? Tell me. So that's the kind of involvement Peter expected, and we were able to bring good changes because of that kind of usability studies and user interactions improvement.
We'll talk about this in a slide shortly, but the IT system is not only about information gathering and processes of optimization and analysis. It's about driving alignment within our overall organizational architecture. Let's go to the next slide. Here again, we have hardware systems. All of our vehicles have telemetry on them. All of our drivers have mobile apps that they utilize. Each one of those hardware devices ties into this 3-stage continuous improvement algorithm.
We have our intelligent system developed, but IoT devices as part of our vehicles. Now, kind of we connected this to get the information in real time, right? Okay, we got that real-time information. What are we going to do next? Then we actually kind of benchmark, we set the benchmark, we get the metrics, and we compare with the metrics, and that's how we are helping our manager, our founding team to make data-driven decisions through IT systems.
So we go from hardware as one of our resources, then we go to human resources, which is one of our most important resources. It's also, I think we can all agree, one of the hardest resources to control. one of the hardest resources to understand, one of the hardest resources to motivate as you plan for the future. So again, we have the same three-stage process. We're collecting data, we're analyzing the data, we're optimizing the SOPs, again, to drive that alignment of purpose between all of our resources within the company. And it also comes down to commercials. When we drive alignment, performance uniformity, conformity of behavior, we can deliver much better service, much more sophisticated service for our customers. And they actually benefit because unlike a company that is collecting maybe big data and then trying to sell credit cards with it, when I'm in a totally different industry, we only use our data for ourselves. Our data about our own resources, about our own commercials, about our own customer engagements is more valuable to us than any kind of marketing gimmick that we can do on the side. So this is what I like to talk about, and I've been talking about it for a long time. It's called a virtual twin. It's taking a conceptual, information-based framework that mirrors our real-world physical operations. When you think about local logistics in India, all we have to do is take a step outside and see that it's a very noisy, very chaotic, very difficult space to operate in. It goes back to that spearfishing analogy that Suman talked about. That's exactly why we're spearfisher people and not throwing nets. Because we want to get rid of that noise. We want to identify what are the key metrics. How do we turn those metrics into data streams that we can cycle on a daily basis? How can we automate those data streams? How can we provide data clarity? How do we make sure that we are removing noise? And then once we project that through a logical framework into a conceptual model called the virtual twin, which we call ePro, how do we then use that by identifying the relationships, by identifying the processes that produce outcomes? Because every company, but particularly a logistics company, has to predict the future. Why? Because our business of efficiency and productivity and scaling is all about planning. Where do we put our vehicles? Where do we put our people? What customers do we have waiting there? And what types of services do they want us to perform for them? That's all a function of planning. That's what the virtual twin is. It's not just fancy words. It's creating a data-driven, empirical, conceptual model with a core logic of SOPs, rules, and relationships that allows us to predict the future. Tomorrow, how many vehicles, what location, what are the commercials, what is the revenue opportunity, how close can we get to the mark? Most of the times, there's a gap. That's part of the analysis process that Siva is involved with. Sometimes we exceed the gap. Doesn't happen often. But again, the critical thing is that when you have your virtual twin telling you what is possible, then you have a tracking system, an information gathering system that tells you this time tomorrow, how close did we get to the mark and what are the gaps? Siva, do you want to talk about analysis and optimization? Gap analysis.
I can just speak a word about the virtual twin. So what has happened is that, as I lead some customer engagements, this virtual twin is resonating also with some of the customers. As an example, there was this customer of ours which had given us a very high fixed kind of contract for placing vehicles and doing logistics. Now, when I look at data as a revenue officer and I see that, okay, the revenues are coming steady, the vehicles are increasing, the customer is not abusive, there's no complaints. But then the virtual twin tells me, just hold on for a second, because you know what? The revenue per kilometer is looking aberrant. The revenue per hour is looking aberrant. Then we figured out, we did some gap analysis, figured out that the vehicle is not moving much, the kilometers are less. So the revenue per kilometer is exceedingly high. The hours of the vehicle travel is also high, is less. So revenue per hour is also high. Now, when we did the gap analysis, figured out that the vehicle is not moving at all. It is under optimized. It is stationed there. Our S-Pro apps were able to capture when the vehicle reported to the customer premises and when they got dispatched. We took this information back to the customer, and they were, of course, delighted to know that the vehicle is not getting utilized properly, optimized properly. There's a lot of dispatch delays which are happening. So we're able to take this feedback back to the customer, and they made changes, as Peter was mentioning, to their planning, like when they can increase the shift time, can they make it earlier?
Yeah, this is an example of very precise, but not necessarily very complicated data streams. Revenue, kilometers, deliveries, tote bags, kiosk replenished. Basic data streams, but when you put them into a virtual twin analytical tool, you can uncover so many small fine-tuning elements that are important to our resource planning process, that are important to customers understanding what actually is happening on the ground in what they call the last mile, which is our hometown, where we live, on the ground. That's our specialty. Our ability to then tell our customers what's really happening on the ground allows us to collaborate with them and optimize our SOPs. Even companies that you think are technology giants, Amazon, Flipkart, with the backing of Walmart, all of these things. When we bring information to them that they don't have access to, even though they have access to the most robust, the most powerful IT technologies in the world, but the raw data is still missing. The last mile is a dark mile to them, but we're putting light on that area. Okay, this is talking about our fractals concept. We talked about the duplication, the replication of that three-step cycling process as it applied to hardware, human resources, customer, commercials. That's a duplication of the same set of principles across different resource bases, across different commercial engagements. We have the same type of model or concept in terms of our architecture. And we think of our business model as an organizational architecture that is mirrored by our virtual twin. Again, this is the real world. This is the real data. We gather it through these very specific, discrete, scaling up fractal patterns. When you're in the planning business, which you have to be, as I've said, when you're in the logistics business, you're in the pattern recognizing business, because that's all predicting the future is. What are the historical patterns? How do I use that information to predict the future? Well, one of the ways that we do that is by replicating our base unit architecture across, from the bottom up, our entire organization. Let's keep going because we're almost done. Okay, Madhavan, this is where I'm now out of my depth, so I'm gonna shut up now and let the experts talk.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. So, ePro dashboard is our main system where we enable data analytics and visualization of the dashboard, which is mainly for managers and founding team, right? Which gives good insights into all the reports, and we are helping them to take data-driven decisions, right? And also, ePro dashboard is a very important place where you can onboard efficiently the drivers, vehicles, and customers.
I think something, sorry, Madhavan, the important thing is our app ecosystem mirrors our organizational architecture. Drivers, hubs, system level, city level, system level. All of the logic, the core logic of our business is consistent across the multiple layers and horizontally across our resources. It's that commitment to logical consistency and uniformity that drives our processes from our IT systems to our operating SOPs to what we'll get to shortly, our alignment and incentive system that drives the behavior of our team. Keep going.
We have used headless architecture. If most of you from tech background, you might understand, where we build core engine, and let's say if we have multiple user group, you can come up with different UIs for them. That's how we have come up with UI for drivers, UI for managers, UI for customer specialists, and also for managerial team. Yeah.
Madhavan, if I could just guide you on this slide. Right now, our IT system is and always will be entirely proprietary and built from the ground up from within our own company. But one of the opportunities that we have, and most of these are based on reverse inquiries, is to start to introduce SaaS models, where we are allowing our intelligence, our architecture, our data streams, and our capabilities to be used by third-party fleets. We might administer those fleets on their behalf. They might access our IT systems. And one of the considerations as we move into that next phase is security and scalability. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, right. So ideally, data is coming from different sources, right? We call them as a data origin. If you try to understand what are these data origins, right? We have developed 3 different mobile applications for drivers, customer specialists, and AFM managers, right? The data is coming from them. Also directly from telematic devices, video telematic devices we have, and also we have external API integrations. So all these data continuously coming in and coming to our ePro dashboard systems, where we divided logically into 2 different sections. One is that data source, where we store our data, and the data is pushed into our main operational system, which is ePro dashboard, where you can see the data, visualize the data. Also, you can comprehensively view checklist, reporting incidents, or managing penalties. All that modules are as part of ePro dashboard, right?
Excuse me, Madhavan. He's talking about the feature set, which is great. But as we move towards leveraging our IT system for third-party fleet and operations administration, one of the key elements is really understanding, do we have the scale to take on those customer engagements? Even more importantly, do we have the security? Because our customers always come first. And the last thing we ever want to be caught in is having commercial information, operational information, any of that data that is sensitive to our valued customers falling into the wrong hands. So suffice it to say, Madhavan knows how important that is. And the architecture that we have built for our IT platform is purpose-built and prepared for that next phase. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
Madhavan, you want to add the portion about how you have introduced microservices architecture and have made modular, and about the Google and Amazon relationship also?
Yeah, we started exploring from beginning itself, because we see that our platform is going to grow very vastly, right? So what we decided was keeping every service as a separate entity which can service to service communication should happen, right? Then we introduced microservice architecture, right? Now it is like if you imagine a honeycomb structure. Each cells fit into one and made it as a module, and then we release it. But there are, every cells have its own security layers. So even when communicating from one service to other service, there is always validation, verifications. Then it will allow you to get into complete the task. Yeah. So this is the kind of technical side we have implemented when come to security.
Okay, the remaining slides, and we only have 4 minutes left, we go into some use cases in terms of, how, starting with the ePro dashboard, what are the features? And what you can see here are all the critical information categories that drive our business. Attendance. I think with the time remaining, let's go to the SPRO app and we'll talk about use cases there. This is still ePro, just keep going. This is the FOS, let's keep going. The tech team is going to be sitting in the back. If anybody wants to experience not just pictures of our apps, they can take you through real-world, demonstrations of the app ecosystem. And I encourage anybody who's interested to come up to Madhavan after this presentation is over. You can do it while other presentations are ongoing. SPRO app, I talked about alignment earlier. The reality today, and probably for a very long time, is that last mile deliveries, last mile transportation, whether it's rickshaw drivers, auto drivers, or whether it's cargo delivery drivers, that's a gig worker model. Before it was called gig work, it was called contract worker model. These are commoditized labor resources. That is not consistent with the premium value-added service offering that ePro represents. So how do you take what is a commoditized, underskilled, undersupervised work pool and put them into our business model? You have to have alignment. It's not just about recruiting. It's not just about onboarding and training. It's about continuous feedback to our drivers, or what we call service professionals, SPROs, letting them know what is important. It's not that they are incapable. It is that they have not been given the opportunity to understand how to do better at their business. It could be even passenger services, certainly in terms of deliveries and enterprise level fulfillment. It's all word of mouth if you're a gig worker. There's no handbook or manual that tells you this is how I do better in my job. This is how I make more money. This is how I don't get cheated. This is how I don't get abused. This is how I find a career path rather than only one day's work. We are replacing the opportunity set for contract or gig workers of day work, which by definition is a commodity, with a career path, which includes safety, security, upside, longevity. That's why we fully employ our drivers, our SPROs, with health insurance, other benefits, Provident Fund. But we, in exchange for that, need them to change their mindset. They can't show up on Monday and access our customer base, utilize our high-performing vehicles, report from our service depots, our FOS, and go and make 3,000 rupees in a day, and then decide, that's fantastic, I just earned enough money for the next 3 days, and show up next on Thursday or Friday. That doesn't work for us. That's not the bargain that we have offered to them. That's not the contract that we have offered to them. That's not what the trust that is needed for us to work a different model, an SPRO model versus a gig worker model. In order to build that trust, we don't expect them to come in and just believe everything we say. Who's going to do that? You got to give them the metrics every day, right on their mobile phone. You got to show to them. Attendance has to be according to our rules and SOPs. Why? Because it's in your own best interest. You've got to start on time. You've got to complete all of your orders. You've got to meet the customer's requirements with professionalism, with consistency, with uniformity. And then you've got a career. Now all of a sudden we're upskilling that labor force. Now all of a sudden we're making them sticky to us because they're not going to go somewhere else and find the same opportunity. Digital technology, our information platform, it's a feedback loop that goes both ways. Yes, they're telling us about their attendance. We're telling them this is what works for you. And that's why we share in the revenue upside with them. It's not a fixed price, But just like I said earlier, we only win with the variable component of our revenues when our customers win. Well, our drivers, our Espros, they're only going to win when we're also winning. That's called alignment. Using technology to drive that alignment that rewards correct, repeatable, consistent behavior and penalizes the wrong type of behavior for our business. That's alignment. And sometimes the only solution is identifying the bad apples and kicking them out of the barrel. And that's a sad truth of life. But we have the technology, we have the visibility, the transparency to identify those bad apples. We're not operating in the dark. The time is up. As I said, I can talk about this all day, and please interact with our team to get some real examples of our technology stack. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Peter. Thank you, data team. And Mr. Suman, if you could please stay back on the stage. Okay, we now introduce Mr. Suman Mishra, the Chief Revenue Officer and co-founder of 3 Ecosystems. With over 20 years of global enterprise tech experience, an alumnus of NIT Trichy and SP Jain, Mr. Suman brings sharp business acumen and deep customer insight to every growth decision. He leads all customer-facing and revenue initiatives at 3 Ecosystems, driving strategic partnerships and market expansion. With a rare blend of technical depth and commercial instinct, Mr. Suman is the force behind 3 Ecos' scaling success. I can't hear you, sir. You're welcome, sir.
So as I was saying, but before that, I just wanted to check, how are you all doing? All good? All good? Yeah, this has been quite an insightful session. Thanks to Madhavan, Shiva, Peter, and the team there. I'm Suman Mishra. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer and co-founder. But before we jump in to see how we are bringing scale, how we're bringing the demand, and how we are resilient, I also wanted to actually acknowledge the contribution from the IT and tech team. Because when I go and speak to customers, I don't tell them, hey, you know what, I've got X number of leads. I'm able to have pointed discussions with them, holistic discussions with them. I ask questions like, what are the friction points in your supply chain? Can we bring improvements related to, say, your storage, or can we bring improvements related to your quality of deliveries? And we'll find in next 20 minutes or so. So I'm just asking 20 minutes of your time now that we have built that in a very resilient way, and the business model and the demand that we have built are indeed very defensible and very strategic. So, these are very some key data sets that we have in front of us. The last mile logistics market, the good news is that it's growing very rapidly. It's probably close to $6 billion, the last mile logistics, and it's growing at a CAGR of 8%. Thanks to the e-commerce boom, which is already at $118 billion. And it's also, the e-commerce market is booming. You know why? Because more and more consumers are ordering from their homes, and the end customers want a faster and a very clean sort of delivery. Also, there's a lot of, as Manas sir was mentioning previously, there's a lot of regulatory push which is coming up. But our customers will tell that they also have these ESG agendas in place with them. And they will also say that logistics is probably 4 to 5% of the order value in the e-commerce, and last mile is more than half. It's 60% plus of that cost, the last mile cost. Through our engagements with the FMCG D2C companies, the e-retailers, the e-grocery companies, and what Manas sir was also mentioning earlier in the day, is that when the operators bring the EVs and the integrated play, the cost optimizations that they bring to table is 30%, close to 30%, more than 20%. But despite these inherent advantages that is obvious to the table, there are also some key pressing points. And as people who are going to shape the India's market in this room, you already know about this, but let me stress on few factors. So what we are seeing is that, thanks to the aggregators and thanks to the marketing team at the platform companies, there's a lot of discovery which is happening, right? So you can step out of the room and look for a, say, a ride back home, or if you want to make some deliveries, you'll go to the app and get the deliveries done. But 60% of them, 60% of those investments made in the marketing, 60% of those investments made in getting a customer respond to your platform is going waste. Only 40% of them are getting fulfilled. And the sad thing is, despite this order booking of 40% fulfillment, only 90% of them, or less than 90% of them, gets through. 10% of them are cancellations. These are the scenarios where probably a driver will reach to you and then say, okay, let's get off the system. What that means is, that means revenue leakage. The order value from a customer over a month is probably close to 3,000 rupees. It is not just the erosion of that money, it's also the erosion of the trust. The customer will switch, the loyalties will switch. And that's why this is a very painful thing that we are seeing in the industry. Then again, there are a lot of optimism in terms of the urban sprawl. We are seeing that even the outskirts of cities, like here in Bhiwandi in Mumbai or Hosur in Bangalore, the more and more customers are coming up. 60% of the new customers which has come to the e-retailers and the e-groceries, they have come from these cities, from these tier 2 places, from the outskirts of cities since 2020. And they demand the same quality of services, like, order, whatever they've ordered should come on time, the quality of delivery. Unfortunately, the local operators there, they're fragmented. That is, there's no optimization. But they're feeling the pressure. They're feeling the squeeze from the FMCG and D2C companies and the customers from the other end. What is happening is that because they don't have this advantage of being an integrated play, they don't have the leverage of bringing this optimization back to the supply chain. They are exiting the market. So there's a vacuum and there's a demand. But the real tragedy is this. E-grocery companies are losing a lot of their produce. Like 20% of the fruits and vegetables are getting lost because of inadequate temperature infrastructure. And in pharma companies, around 10 to 15%. At 3Eco, as I was mentioning, we bring this tech, data, the vehicle, the charging, parking, to the discussion boards at the customer. So I'm able to go as, at 3Eco and go to customer and talk to their supply chain management team, their design team. And during our conversations, that has been resonated really well. So we have started building very deep strategic relationship with our customers. We already, in the cities that we operate, the 5 cities that we operate, we call them fleet operating networks. We already have an order book of 7,000 vehicles across passenger and cargo vehicles. We are the first and the largest 3-wheeler EV operator, which is delivering enterprise-grade quality services through these vehicles that you see. And you will see in these, in these vehicles, plus when you talk to data team, that we bring services like video monitoring, video telematics, geofence alerts. This helps us as 3Eco. This helps the customers, like the platform and aggregators. This helps their customers as well. I'm able to tell in a time frame what are the hotspot zones in terms of time, in terms of demand, what is the driver behavior going to be. The video telematics tells me intelligently if there are some alerts in place, and I'm able to drive the QoS, the quality of services, back to the system. With customers like, we're going to talk to Flipkart and others, we are doing some important pivots for them. At Uber, we are trying to get into the freight business, and they are pivoting through us. With Coca-Cola, according to them, we are their first enterprise distribution partner. And we are bringing this business across all our FOS. Then, we will later in the session, we will discuss about the engagements at Flipkart and Rapido. We are bringing the real estate play here. We are addressing we are coming across as a turnkey solution provider. And we are very outcome driven rather than just providing vehicles. That's why, we are also building up on our warehouses and dark store business. But again, the most important thing is this. For us, scale, as Karan was also mentioning, is not like opening up multiple cities. It means actually using the actionable data to build density. Like, where do I put more vehicles? Where there is enough juice in the supply chain to make it a win-win. And we are using these kind of information thanks to the platforms which has been created by our tech team, the continuous feedback from the field to design those increasing density and increasing density models back into the system. We are also, while we have some key strategic partners, we are also aligned to the SMB and to the D2C business. Like as an example, in Coimbatore, we are building some great relationship with the likes of Connect India, TrackOn, and we have our territory managers back there who can talk about the customers that we're addressing locally there. We have been very capital efficient, and our focus has been to be unit economics positive and bring scale in that regard. As I was mentioning, we already see a decent order book. In terms of profitability, vehicles like the one that we have already launched and in operation, we are able to run shifts of 1.5 to dual shifts. What this means is that the vehicle can run and take care of peak hours at both the ends. And that's why the productivity, we call productivity of the revenue per commercial vehicle as a factor of productivity, that is quite high, and that is shortening the profitability pathway. In terms of our collections, we earlier had 45 days as a period of collections. Thanks to the customers that we have got on the platform side, the collection happens on a daily basis. Also, the enterprise customers, they have moved from 45-day to 15-day collection period. So we are healthy in terms of cash inflows. With engagements like Coca-Cola, and we intend to replicate this through the fractal learning approach across other FMCG customers, is that we are turning PAT positive there within 3 months. In terms of competitive advantage, as we had been reiterating, this turnkey solution means that we have the tight control on all our assets, and we are able to tap into one of these assets, be it in terms of vehicle, be it in terms of the person who is adding value to the customer place. We have vehicles which have very high uptime, 95% plus, and of course the SOPs and digitization that is getting enforced within, so that we are able to look at customer pain points, and maybe at some point of time tell them where there are gaps and bring collaborative approach. We have had customers and partners through which we have built collaborative products also through this. Yeah, I come to the concluding part of the session. I have taken less time than 20 minutes, but I'll open this up maybe 5 minutes more for hearing from you on the questions that you might have. Anyone have questions? Okay, I'd like to wind up.
Thank you, Mr. Suman. So, gentlemen, Thank you for your patience. Let's now have. Okay, yeah. Sorry, thank you. Okay, correction, please. Sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. Now let's take a small coffee break, just right there.
Found Peter on LinkedIn in 2019 when he was piloting electric three-wheelers and posting about them online. I was not only impressed with the performance of these vehicles, but the way he talked about using them at very high efficiency. He said electric means lower cost, but only if it's used properly. One of the great things he said at the start was that he wanted to share some of that efficiency savings with our customers. We wanted to make this a win-win. This really grabbed me. After I joined as a CRO, I started talking with Amazon, Big Basket, Flipkart, and the likes. They not only liked our EV platform, they loved the entire value proposition. From there, we have now served over 30 enterprise customers, and I expect us to capture many more. found Peter on LinkedIn in 2019 when he was piloting electric three-wheelers and posting about them online. I was not only impressed with the performance of these vehicles, but the way he talked about using them at very high efficiency. He said electric means lower cost, but only if it's used properly. One of the great things he said at the start was that he wanted to share some of that efficiency savings with our customers. We wanted to make this a win-win. This really grabbed me. After I joined as a CRO, I started talking with Amazon, Big Basket, Flipkart, and the likes. They not only liked our EV platform, they loved the entire value proposition. From there, we have now served over 30 enterprise customers, and I expect us to capture many more. found Peter on LinkedIn in 2019 when he was piloting electric three-wheelers and posting about them online. I was not only impressed with the performance of these vehicles, but the way he talked about using them at very high efficiency. He said electric means lower cost, but only if it's used properly. One of the great things he said at the start was that he wanted to share some of that efficiency savings with our customers. We wanted to make this a win-win. This really grabbed me. After I joined as a CRO, I started talking with Amazon, Big Basket, Flipkart, and the likes. They not only liked our EV platform, they loved the entire value proposition. From there, we have now served over 30 enterprise customers, and I expect us to capture many more. Hello, Florence. Let's arrange the schedule back.
Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, let me invite Mr. Karan for the roundtable discussion. Okay, sorry for the, yeah, Mr. Suman. Okay. Okay, apparently Mr. Suman Mishra will be having the roundtable discussion.
It was always going to be Suman Mishra. So Suman, thank you for already being on stage. Would you like to introduce all the participants of the roundtable? We have a very eclectic.
Okay, I can do that. We'll give a moment or so, but I can tell you this, ladies and gentlemen. If the coffee was strong outside, you know, the discussion that we are going to have here is going to be more warmer and more stronger. And this will, you'll find a lot of resonance here also. Let's, after 2 minutes or so, let's start this panel discussion. Florence, if you can just see if there's the crowd outside and if you can get them in. Okay, so we'll begin. And as I was mentioning, before we jump into today's conversations, I would like to take a moment to introduce the phenomenal individuals joining me on the stage. They are not just industry veterans, they are valued collaborators. And they have been closely part of 3Eco's journey. Together, they bring rich cross-sector perspectives on mobility, on sustainability, and the art of scaling responsibly. I would like to first introduce Mr. Bharat Rathore, who is to the stage, who is Associate Director at Rapido. Bharat leads a supply at Rapido, and it is India's largest bike taxi mobility platform. With a decade-plus track record in strategy and process innovation, Bharat has been instrumental in driving Rapido's EV transition. What sets him apart is not just his operational rigor, and I know this very, very closely because of his belief in sustainable, scalable sustainability. Under his leadership, Rapido has partnered over 15 OEMs, setting benchmarks for clean mobility adoption in India. And as I was saying, on a personal note, Bharat was one of the earliest believers in 3Eco. His conviction and guidance has helped us launch this passenger segment, and I continue to be grateful to you for that. Next, we have Parth Patel from Flipkart. And Flipkart, as you know, is India's largest e-commerce ecosystem. It's driving India's e-commerce ecosystem. Parth is driving scalable, tech-led, and green supply chains, ensuring deliveries across a staggering 3,800 plus pin codes nationwide. Working with Parth has been nothing short of energizing. His structured thinking and long-term orientation makes him a dream partner in building the next generation logistic network, and we are proud to deepen our partnership with Flipkart. Rohit Sally, I think he's, over there, Rohit. He earlier had lost his mobile, so I had no forms of communication with him, but he's there. Rohit Sally is, again, a very good friend of mine. He joins us from Porter. He's leading the strategic initiatives. Rohit brings over 30 years of expertise across business expansion, platform operations, and logistics transformation. But beyond his resume, Rohit has been a sounding board for some of our boldest ideas at 3Eco. His insights on urban mobility and technology-led operations are razor sharp, and it's always a privilege to engage with him. And last but not least, retired Commander Syed Imtiaz Hussain. I fondly call him Commander Syed. And a very warm welcome from him. He is a Navy veteran with 22 years of service and another 8 years in corporate logistics. He now leads end-to-end logistics at Masum Group, and he will be speaking about the company also. He's spearheading the biodiesel mission at M11 energy transitions. And I think there's a lot of kind of resonance with MGL will have with Syed. He's managing a 300 plus vehicle fleet and overseeing UCO. UCO is used cooking oil conversion into biofuel, a real-world, high-impact ESG initiative. And Commander Syed embodies mission-driven leadership, and we are proud to walk alongside him in his important work. Now let's shift gears and get into the heart of today's conversation. I'd like to invite, as I said, the panelists to build something impactful, scalable, and sustainable partnership in logistics and mobility. Am I audible? Hello? Yeah. So first, I would like to begin from you, Bharat. Bharat, at Rapido, what were some of the key challenges that you faced while scaling EV-based ops across multiple cities? And what made you decide to go ahead with the MOU with 3Eco?
Yeah. So, like any of the new upcoming things, or the problem with the thing is the innate fear of uncertainty, right? So what are the expectations of an organization like ours, right, when we want to get into this fleet? It's mostly that the vehicle are robust, there's something which can be trusted upon. You have enough capabilities on the vehicles which can deliver you the output, or in terms of the utilization, which we would want for the business side, right? Along with that, a dedicated support system in terms of the infrastructure, right? So primarily these were a lot of things were unknown in terms of uncertain, right? What kind of a vehicle, where does this fit in? Do they have the right amount of infrastructure? How is the support system looking at, right? And along with that, clubbed is the willingness of a partner, you know, to see the long path ahead with you, right? To understand that this is not a short-term game, it's more about how do we build something today which will go on for a very long time, right? With that in mind, one of the key reasons why we also found out the better tuning between us was apart from the vehicles and the infrastructure which you brought along, right? What was more crucial for us was the willingness for you to learn, unlearn, you know, adopt, right? Showcase that potential hunger for growth and how do you innovate, right? Because as Rapido, we are a firm believer of how do we enable the entire ecosystem which helps everyone along, right? And I think one of the major factor is the willingness for you to take up that charge. Hey, we'll bring in an innovative approach. We are flexible to try and see how long can we run the vehicles for, how do we manage this end to end, and how do we bring efficiencies in place, right? So I think that has been the key to our relationship starting, and we'll continue with the same.
Yeah, thanks, Bharat. And as we were mentioning earlier, that it's not an accident that our FOS, we call our hubs as fleet operating stations. It's not an accident that our fleet operating stations are at the hotspots. There's a lot of science which has gone behind it. We use a principle called triangulation, and you can talk to the IT team about it. Is that we collect the demand from customers, and then we arrive at a congruence, so that from the same FOS we can serve multiple customers and bring optimization. So I just wanted to give you behind the scenes what happens behind putting a FOS in place. So thanks, Bharat. Rohit, my next question is for you. And I just wanted to check first if your mic is working. It's working. And what operational gaps, again, were you trying to solve in your last mile delivery? And of course, how has 3ECO partnership helped you in this?
Thanks, Suman. Okay, first, I'll possibly take this opportunity to maybe tell most of us what we do at Porter. So we are the largest on-demand intra-city logistics platform. And if I extrapolate this to electric, I think it's the ideal match, because the kind of asset classes which are coming through in the EV ecosystem suit best for intra-city applications. The larger form factors are yet to hit the road. So I do see Rapido being a right reflection of EV adoption of the ecosystem. We are the most organic platform to see the EV adoption taking place. Having said that, a 10-year-old company with a very large supply portfolio, which has largely been DCO-led. So our persona has been DCO, which for the last 3-4 years has seen a change, because the EV revolution has taken over the two-wheelers, the three-wheeler L5, and now the larger four-wheeler asset form factors. And my persona, my supply persona has changed today. The supply today is not DCO-driven. It's largely enterprise-driven. These are principally partners like 3ECO who drive the supply for us. Though we are still a sub 10% EV supply platform today, with a huge sustainability portfolio year on year, we do believe large 3PL players add a lot of value for our platform. They come with dedicated fleets. They come with a lot of tech stack, which stitches very well with our demand portfolio, because net-net, we are a demand and supply aggregator. So if the supply and demand can stitch through a beautiful tech, I think it's a win-win for both the partners. Also, the wherewithal to run the operations, to create large charging infrastructure to support the supplies who run on our platform. These key strengths come through large 3PLs like 3ECO, and we do see this play growing in the coming years, because they are the drivers for EV adoption in India, at least for the coming early years. I hope that answers.
Yeah, thanks, Rohit. One of the key things that me and Rohit have been also discussing with the team is how we can co-create, co-develop, and roll out some important features on both the sides, which means the dashboard features on both the sides. That means not just information from the porter, but also from 3Eco. And we are seeing something already going live as we speak. Parth, my question to you is, at Flipkart, as your volumes are scaling up, what kind of support did you need beyond vehicle supply?
So I would like to throw some numbers over here. So India e-commerce market back in 2019 had only 4% penetration in the retail supply chain. Fast forward 5 years, 2025, the penetration has increased to 8%, and the projection is to grow around 14 to 16% by 2030. So every 5 years, the business is doubling, and India as a geography is very challenging in nature. We have not very great road infrastructure. There is a address inaccuracy. There are challenges in terms of consumer demands as well, because it has been shifting from value driven to the speed driven. So in this difficult time, we look for a solution or a partner where we get an end-to-end solution. There, if we partner with any of the company where they can provide us a right kind of intelligence, infra, and a scalability where they provide us end-to-end supply chain solution, and which can help us create a nimble yet resilient supply chain. So those are the key driver to choose a right partner in this growing yet challenging demography.
Thanks, Parth, and thanks to your support and encouragement also that we are able to add value beyond vehicle. As Parth was mentioning, we have taken up some of the core things like sorting, sequencing, returns, and we're very outcome focused at Flipkart. And it's all thanks to Parth and his encouragement there. Mr. Commander Sayed, to you, and maybe you can talk a bit about M11. Backhaul logistics is incredibly and increasingly very complex. So maybe you can talk a bit about it. But during the onboarding, what were the most critical aspects you wanted it right to ensure operational efficiencies?
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope I'm audible. It's a great pleasure and honor to be this side. And I think I'm one of the very few people here in the audience today who has personally driven all the 3 vehicles. And I take great pride in it because I was with 3Eco for a while. Very fond memories. I am presently heading the logistics of the Masoom Group. So we have 2 major verticals. One is that we are owners of the Sunpure brand. For those of you who saw the corporate video which was being played continuously in a loop, I use their platform for branding 500 EVs across 3 cities, and it has given us tremendous visibility, and hats off to the flawless execution which did. Going a step further, another vertical of the Masoom Group is a company called M11 Energy Transition Private Limited. We are fulfilling 2 basic national objectives. There is a very large market in the country today of used cooking oil, UCO as we call it. Currently, it stands at about 4 million metric tons per year, likely to grow as our consumption of oil is growing. The 2 national objectives we are trying to solve is we are ensuring that the used cooking oil does not re-enter the food chain because it is carcinogenic, it is harmful for the health of the nation. Second, we also ensure that it is not disposed of improperly, thereby impacting the nation's environment. So we collect used cooking oil. We have about 13 warehouses, which is rapidly expanding pan-India. And we have entered into an agreement with 3Eco to utilize their electric vehicles to do the collection and get it to our warehouses, from where we shift it to our plant. It's a state-of-the-art, one of the largest in the country, 450 metric ton capacity per day to process the feedstock, of which UCO is one of the components, into biodiesel. And biodiesel is what you and me fill in our cars today when we fill fuel from any of the oil companies. The government wants to reduce the crude oil imports also. In 3Eco, we found that the kind of data they expose us to, tremendous. I am able to actually calculate what is my per vehicle carbon saving. Am I being carbon neutral? Am I being carbon negative? What is the impact I am having by using an ICE vehicle versus a EV for per kg of UCO collected? And what I liked about 3Eco is that they did not immediately say, yes, yes, we'll do this. They did a pilot with us, they shadowed us, they understood our collection methodology, they understood our challenges, and only then we entered into an agreement. And luckily for us, synergizing with 3Eco makes sense, because all the 5 locations where they are present, we are already present there. And I was so happy to see when Karan showed your cluster expansion plan, the cities you are targeting is where we are already there, and we're looking for partners, Karan. So looking forward to it in the same way. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Syed. And yes, you, of course, bring back warm, fond memories. You have never gone out of my heart, Syed. But I also wanted to take a bit through our journey of onboarding a customer. Syed is right. You know, we don't just go and say to customer, you know what, this is my fleet, or come, we'll get onboarded. Because we have to make it sustainable also in terms of economy. It has to be a win-win. It cannot be like a 3-month affair. So when we go to a customer, we go and talk to their program management team and the design team and ask them about the friction points that I was mentioning earlier. And we did do a very grueling exercise of collecting data, very microscopic but relevant to us. And that is called a phase of shadow, where we don't invest in any resources. We neither invest in vehicles or escrows, or drivers are called escrows. But we go and talk to them and say, you know what, what's the baseline like? Because unless you have a data collection exercise, unless you have an assessment exercise, you can never tell them that I can bring benefits. That would be a lie. And we believe, you know, as Peter mentions, it's one of the commandments. If it is not written, it doesn't exist. And we believe in lot in documentation. So no narratives, only numbers. So that's a shadow exercise, and we have thankfully done that with Mr. Syed, though, you know, we are like friends. And after shadow, we go back to the drawing board. We think together as a team, where IT, the infra team, the project team, the finance team, we all come together and we say which areas we can optimize. That's called the phase of optimization that we have spoken about. And then we bring it to life. We do a pilot. And when we do a pilot, we told the customer that, you know, here it's what your cost per kilometer is, and it was. So we are able to show them an improvement. Unless we bring them an improvement on the benchmark, and unless we bring an improvement for ourselves, we don't go ahead and sign the agreement. So that has been our process. Thanks. So thanks, Syed, for, you know, giving me the opportunity to speak about the shadow. Bharat, my next question is for you. And my question to you is, what kind of issues, again, did Rapido face around driver productivity and quality of service?
Right. So if you understand the TG which we're talking about, right, the blue-collared or the gig worker space, one of the major concerns which we generally face is around the inconsistency and the quality parameters, right? And that is the major challenge, especially how do you solve that at scale, right? And while there are various efforts which go into it, right? And I think as Peter in the last session also mentioned, the difference between a gig worker and what an S-Pro is expected to do is the ideal state which even we are striving towards or we are gunning towards, right? And how do we leverage the current?
Bharat, we call our headquarters SNC, System Nerve Center. This actually is the physical form of the virtual twin. This is where our data and IT team sits. And we're trying to create alarms, alerts, whenever a rule is not followed. And that will help us improve, that will help us identify gaps and improve and pass on these benefits to the customers as well. So Bharat, I would love to again host you at our SNC. Do come over.
Certainly.
Rohit, back to you. As you expanded into more cities and more importantly, as you penetrated into the current ones, what became critical for the operational control?
Okay, Suman, so I think I'd like to stitch it again from the customer's perspective. User experience being the most critical on the platform, and that accentuates even more when we start a new city. Because you need to stitch the hotspots versus the available inventory on the platform, which is where large fleet operators like 3Eco help us do that with dedicated supplies. You have the wherewithal and the investments to support charging infrastructure development around our hotspots. So that stitching, I think, is the first pivotal step for us to open a new category for our customers to see supply and see low cancellations and higher order fulfillments. So large fleet operators like 3Eco give us that control. And these are typically our levers. So user experience, high fulfillment, low cancellations are typically three levers which are parallel across all cities, but definitely more paramountly important for when we roll out new cities.
Yeah, and Porter also likewise has been, very encouraging for us. We are actually on board through Porter platform as well, which will ensure and which will mean that there's more fulfillment coming to you, Rohit. So, we have to plan accordingly. Parth, the question to you is cross-dock is super sensitive. It's strategic, it's very strategic in operations. And I just want to check with you very candidly, what built the confidence to entrust 3Eco with it?
Okay, so how we have grown this partnership is with the shared intelligence. So you guys are having a full dedicated team creating a right intelligence on the ground, and with Flipkart having another set of data, we can create a right decision making which is backing with the data and can take a right call at a right time. So with 3Eco, what we have seen is it's just not a logistics partner. It has been a right insight provider on the ground where a company in this agile market can take a right decision. And wherever there is an issues, how we can take those objective decision rather than depending on the hypothesis or the subjective opinion.
Thanks again, Parth. I've understood this, that at operations there would be always some challenges, and Parth has been very level-headed, and he has always been the guy who has taken, as Peter says, complete ownership and accountability by being part of solutions. And we had our moments like that, and there's always a continuous feedback loop that we have with Flipkart and 3Eco. Syed, from an ESG and the environmental social governance perspective and compliance perspective, what kind of control or transparency did you require in your delivery operations?
Both the Sunpure brand and the used cooking oil, both from a compliance perspective need FSSAI licenses for this handling and storage. So one immediate synergy I see partnering with 3Eco is that all their FOS, fleet operating stations, also have space to develop as dark stores with FSSAI license, number one. Second, the kind of data and transparency which you provide us helps us to ensure that we are being compliant and not flouting any rules knowingly or unknowingly. And third, what I feel is that the per per month, we are collecting about 300 metric tons of used cooking oil, pan-India, and it's only going to grow. And the best part I like is you're a full stack company who have total control over the vehicle inventory because you are manufacturing it yourself. You're not dependent on any third party, neither for the vehicle nor the batteries. And as we scale up, it makes sense for us to partner with a player who has got the hardware, the batteries, the charging as a service, as well as data and the operational capability. So from an ESG perspective, I don't think I could have asked for a better partner, honestly.
Thanks, Sayed, and thanks to the entire panelists. Thanks for all the insights and the candor. And to all the audience, most of you have been pouring your insights, and they, in fact, have been driving these important questions. I would urge both of you to also, connect beyond these rooms because you are helping us push our boundaries. I'd like to take a pause and see if there are some questions from the audience. Okay, thanks a lot, team.
Thank you very much, Mr. Suman. Thank you very much, panel members. Next, we welcome Mr. Sumit Kumar, who holds a bachelor's degree from the IIT and a PGDM from IIM Ahmedabad. He was previously associated with the Boston Consulting Group. He is the managing director with Olympus Capital Holdings, Asia India Advisors Private Limited, and has been associated with Olympus Capital for over 10 years. Mr. Sumit also serves as the director on the board of Cashify and Credit Access Grameen. We are delighted to have him on the board of 3 ecosystems, where his insight and guidance are really helping shape our journey ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Florence. It'll be almost 20 years next year with Olympus, but that's okay. Once again, thank you, everyone. It's been a long, but as Peter assured, highly efficient day. We're ahead on schedule, and I intend to keep it that way. Maybe I'll just start with apologizing first for some oversimplifications that I might make in trying to summarize what's been discussed today. And let me start with going back. Sorry, do I control the pages? Yeah, okay. Excellent. So maybe I'll go back and start with the really powerful data point that Peter gave us, and in the fact that 60% of all logistic costs are in the last mile. I mean, and it just takes a walk outside to appreciate how fragmented this sector is and how large the opportunity set is. And this is not at all different from many of the other companies that we've backed and that we look to back. For example, the ones Florence talked about, Credit Access Grameen or Utkarsh is trying to enable finance to rural customers who don't have access to it, who haven't had access to it for centuries. Or, a company like Cashify is trying to get some organized behavior into a circular economy of buying old mobile phones, refurbishing them, and selling them, which has been unorganized and highly inefficient. So what 3Eco is trying to do here is definitely a very hard problem, in engineering parlance, almost an NP hard problem to solve. And in trying to get to this solution, what's been done here is quite remarkable. The first element of this is, again, Peter highlighted this very well, vertically integrated hub and spoke model, which is run with a tight command and control. I mean, that's the only way things work at that scale. And when you're trying to solve sector which has such unorganized constituents. So that's been a great achievement. Then, of course, you started with dedicated high-capacity vehicles, which you had influence over designing and creating. And as Madhavan highlighted really well, a tech stack that doesn't just enable operations, but drives them to higher efficiency and continually learning from multiple streams of data that are collected sort of even as we sit here and talk. And the team presented, to me at least, 3 powerful data points to prove that there already are wins in finding solution for this NP hard problem. A delivered utilization of 81% and aiming for 94%. That's staggering. In this sector, if I get this right, it's not just the best, it's probably unprecedented. Proven profitability at not just vehicle, but also FOS level as Karan walked us through. So each of the units at which, hubs at which we are functioning are already profitable, and densifying them is the path for achieving profitability at all the FONs in this financial year, as Karan was telling us. And then, having achieved all this in just 5 years, with roughly $5 million invested, that's really capital, really capital efficient. And I'm tempted to say we should take a moment and let the team applaud themselves for having achieved these. And this brings me to me, what's the biggest success and blessing for 3Echo. And that is in having found partners, customer partners that they have. And Suman, through his session, walked us through this, and the previous session, which was a freewheeling discussion with the partners with whom the company needs to find solutions to these tough problems, not just today, not just for FY26, but for years and decades to come. I think that's the biggest blessing, to have found ourselves in a room where there are other and possibly more brilliant people than us dedicated to finding solutions to tough problems. That's the biggest blessing. And I think that's clearly where the shared path for success for this business and this sector lies, in working closely together with the partners we already have and maybe a handful of others. So thank you again, and an applause for the partners as well. I think and sorry, I didn't skip through the pages, and yeah. And I wish the team all the best in what Karan articulated as using the flywheel of efficiency to drive growth in FY26. We, as a company and the board, will be fully focused on trying to deliver the metrics that the company has set out for themselves, and pave the way for the next milestone, which is the Series B fundraise, as you said. And perhaps, I'd want to leave with a thought that comes quite often to me in this setting, which is that it takes a village to raise a child. And as a young business, it's taken everyone's contribution, and it'll take everyone's contribution and working together to take this somewhere. And really grateful for that. I'd perhaps like to join Peter, Karan, Suman, and the team in thanking all of you to take your time on a wet Sunday, pretty much all day, and and being here with us. Thank you.
So like Sumit said, it's been a long day, long afternoon, long morning session as well. It's been a long day, but, and also as Sumit said, it takes contributions from all of the stakeholders, many of them present today, many of them viewing online, many of them yet to discover us, but all important in this journey as we build a disruptive business, solve problems in the marketplace that are critical, not only for customers, but for society, for India. So I want to thank you all for your patience, for your time, and this is the beginning. We'll see you again very soon. Thank you very much.